morning, everyone. You'd have heard that statement a million times. Success is different for different people. It's one of those casually thrown around sentences that makes its way to school walls, to magazines, and even said by your teachers oftentimes before exams, right? But here's if I tell you something, my success began the second I decided that I no longer wanted to adhere to people's definition of it. I was born with a congenital anomaly called spina bifida. That, to the world, was my first failure. After all, I already did not adhere to the world's definition of normal. I underwent major brain and spine surgeries, each one more excruciating than the last, and the world said, God gives its hardest battles to its strongest soldiers. Here's the thing, I was not looking to be a soldier. I was looking to be a child. Just a child. School life was difficult. My parents wanted me to have an education, a life that was not defined by a label. But let me tell you this, raising a child with a disability that in a world that is defined, that is built around their exclusion, is not easy. They ran from pillar to post every shrine, saint and temple, hoping for a miracle. Little did they know that life was going to feel like an answered prayer soon. But raising a child with a disability is not easy. Getting me admitted to school, a difficult task. Finding accessible classrooms, an even tougher ordeal. And surviving school life, well, that's a nightmare I'm only recently learning to talk about. School life for me wasn't about assignments, exams, or friends. It was about alleyways full of stairs that I couldn't access. About teachers who didn't know what to make of me and peers who weren't unkind, just confused. And so 6 years. 6 years of feeling like I wasn't enough. 6 years of eating lunch alone. 6 years of constantly questioning myself of if I belonged or not. That was my normal. At 13, I really did believe I was too serious, too studious, too much to be in the cool crowd. And then as I grew up, I realized something incredibly important. I realized I was not the anomaly. I was not the problem that needed rectification. We live in a world that has been taught, constantly ingrained, that different necessarily meant wrong. And so I went to college. At 18, I got one of the biggest gifts life could give me. The gift of confidence. Confidence that actually comes when you are accepted exactly as you are. My professors saw me for who I was, for my curiosity, for my ideas, for my hard work, for my domination. My peers taught me actually that inclusion was my right. It wasn't charity. So in a world where I constantly grew up internalizing ableism, I was finally able to break that mold for myself. I was finally able to tell myself, and I was able to tell my peers as well, that to me inclusion was a fundamental right. To me it was my basic humanity. And here I spearheaded a student-led initiative called SOPAN, which later would become the stepping stone of what is now known as enable education. Just didn't know it yet. During school times, I couldn't go for picnics or excursions or, out with friends just for the sake of it. You know why? Not just because of inaccessibility, but because somehow we think and we live in a world that thinks access is a privilege only afforded to some. only afforded to those who fit the world's definition of normalcy. I graduated and learned a lot of skills, did a lot of work around advocacy, sensitization, became a published author at the age of 18. And then I pursued my master's after pursuing my graduation from the Institute of Home Economics, University of Delhi. I pursued my master's at AJKMCRC Jamia Millia Islamia. Here again, I entered with a neat little interesting plan. Of course, the checklist that's given to all of us that tells us, follow this, you'll become successful. Get good grades, a good college, a good job, settle in. I wanted to do exactly that for myself. Prepare for government exams, clear them, get a good job, settle in. Except life had a totally different plan for me personally and professionally both. An Instagram DM completely changed my life. It was for a fellowship application from Volunteer for India, and that's when Enable Education was born. 75 people, youth and parents from all walks of life, with one mission in our hearts, with one thought in my mind. No child could go through what I did in school, not if I could help it. And so we decided to turn webinars into conversations. We decided to hold sensitization workshops. We created platforms where people with and without disabilities came together, talked as equals. And so a movement that was only 6 months, and so a project rather, that was only 6 months, became a movement that will now complete 2 years in December. That project actually was supported by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. After I met my now mentor, Mr. Samarth Pathak from UNODC at a seminar in my college. He's someone who believes in the power of youth to foster change and inclusion, and we now complete 1 year of support by UNODC. Why did I do all of this? Here's what I've learned. Exclusion of children with disabilities in schools does not happen out of malice or cruelty. It happens because students and youth are not taught how to navigate and talk to someone that navigates life differently than them. And so we decided to teach it in the simplest way possible. Inclusion is never lifts, ramps, braille books. It is conversations. Conversations that you have with that crutch user who's a fiery debater and could really argue circles around you. Conversations that you would have with that wheelchair user who seldom speaks. Conversations with that very, very quiet child who maybe struggles to learn certain subjects. Conversations that I to this date wish somebody had had with me and my 13-year-old self. And so to all of you sitting in this room today, you might think that you are too young to make a difference. But let me tell you something. If you pick up one thing from this talk today, let it be this. Inclusion does not begin at big policies, big presentations, big conversations, or even a lot of noise. It begins with these conversations. It begins with choices that you make. The choice to never let somebody feel unseen, unheard, undervalued in your presence. The choice to start a conversation and mean it. The choice to ask that person with a disability whether they like to work with you in a team and mean it. So now a lot of times people ask me, has your definition of success changed? And so I just smile and say, yeah, it has. It's no longer about accolades, titles, any of that. It's about that teacher who came and told me, you know what, after your talk, my students have started talking about disability in the classroom. It's from that volunteer from my team who comes and tells me, now I see disability as power, not charity. That to me is real success. And that to you can be the real success of your humanity when you decide once again that nobody feels isolated, unheard, unwanted, and invisible in your presence, because that is a choice for you to make. Thank you.